Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Make Your Good Business Great. Today, I am so thrilled, and you're going to be too, because I have Peter Arbery with us, and he is the training guru. So he's going to talk to us about all things sales, and all of your answers are going to be answered. Questions are going to be answered. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
You are one of the experts, and we've got some good experts on this summit, but you are one that everybody's going to be listening into, because I think everybody has troubles or hurdles to overcome when it comes to sales, selling, following up, the procedures, the way to go about it, and all of that. But before we get right into it, can you tell us a little bit about the Training Guru and your journey to establish the business so far?
Yeah, look, the Training Guru, and we chose that because it had a sense of fun about it. It came about because throughout my career, I love developing people, and what's in my heart is seeing people get the best out of what their passions are. And so for business people to jump in, have that courage to own a business, I love being able to mentor, support, encourage them for that business to truly thrive, which is why I'm really excited to be in this summit.
That's so cool. And what sort of clients do you currently serve?
They're just far-ranging. So most industries, and the type of work we're doing with them is developing leaders and enabling teams to work more closely together, and customer service and sales, where we are today, are the three areas. But really, we have a wide range of clients, and really enjoy that diversity of bringing it back to simple things which have worked for me over the years.
Yeah, terrific. Well, we look forward to hearing about them. So, the sales process, Peter, it just makes a lot of people groan, especially solo business owners, or if there's one or two, someone has to take the short straw and do the sales. So, when you're presented with someone who has reluctance to get on the phone, how do you step people through the sales process?
Kim, I think it's really important to acknowledge that every person I've ever talked to about sales has reluctance. There's some people who find that first phone call a little bit easier, but most people still have fears there. And there's other parts of sales which people find confronting. So I don't think anyone is naturally born a salesperson or doesn't find parts of it really confronting or difficult or create some angst. So I suppose it's something which I just wanted to put out there to you straight up, is that everyone carries a little bit of that.
So we can all kind of let ourselves off the hook.
I think so. But the other side to it is if I said to you right at the minute, I'm nearly 100 kilos and I want to be 90, and I know that exercise and eating a little bit less is going to bring it down, but I'm not doing anything about it, then I'm not really being realistic. So for our businesses to go from good to great, we've got to endure a bit of that pain, and sales will have that, I think, for every person. So that discomfort, it's just making our businesses stronger, fitter, more able to go ahead, to become great.
I think that's terrific, because I was talking to one of my clients the other day who actually, to me, appears to really enjoy the sales process. And I said to him, what do you do? Like, what's your mindset? What are you thinking when you're making the calls? And he said, oh, Kim, I don't like making them. And I was shocked. I thought he just went for it.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, no, I really... And he said he often waits until the end of the day, and then he just can't put it off any longer.
Yeah. So, and at the end of the day, is that the time we should be doing it? Is that when, the people we're speaking to are most receptive to it? These are things which we've got to question. And I think that sales, if we looked at it as being partly discipline and partly being people skills, I'd like to think that today we could touch on perhaps both sides of that.
Yeah, terrific. So would you like to step us through?
Yeah, look, I think that most people will defer making sales calls.
Yeah.
So what is probably my strongest tool in business, and I've been lucky enough to be a manager at 21, a business owner at 23. I'm 48 now, just in case you're trying to work out how long it's been happening. So for a long, long time, I didn't understand the value of using a diary, and that would be my number one tool.
Yeah,
We get
terrific.
busy, we get reactive. The world is so frantic that it's easy for the thing we want to do least to be deferred, not only till 5 o'clock, like you were saying about your client, but maybe 5 weeks or 5 months. That really important call has to be made in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And our diary allows that to occur, or reminds us that we've got to stop what we're doing. Something else is much more important for us right now. So I think booking some time into your diary to do this is the first and a real key step.
That's great. So what do you suggest, morning or afternoon?
I think it depends on who you're calling. And so here we're now stepping across to one of the mindsets of sales, is thinking about the person you're about to connect with.
Yep.
And what do they really need? It's not about my needs anymore. It's about thinking what fits into their day. When are they feeling most comfortable? Somebody once said to me, don't make your calls on a Monday morning. I personally find that a really successful time.
Yeah.
People are raring to go. They've got some enthusiasm. They're not inundated. They're feeling fresh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, Kim. Yeah.
No, that's perfect. Monday morning. That's perfect.
So you might find time there. You might find it on Friday afternoon as people are saying, you know what, I'm overdoing what I am now. I actually want to have a chat with someone. So all these things can be challenged, but I think it's about trying to think of the other person. And so when you're talking to them, you're able to get a conversation going.
Yeah, that's perfect. And look, most calls that we make are not cold calls, and they're not unscheduled anyway. So I suppose that is a little bit of the, the scheduling that you do together as well, if it's the first time that you're actually having a meeting.
Yeah, and Kim, if it's okay, I'd just love to jump back one step.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're working through a sales process, when you're trying to talk to someone about how what you've got could be good for them, I think it's important that we focus just on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the whole thing just could be too frightening for us. Do you feel like with your clients that it just feels a bit too much sometimes?
I do. And I think a lot of my clients have an issue with, how to open the conversation even. Yeah. So I don't know if you can talk to us a little bit about that. I'm sure our viewers would really enjoy that.
So I think we might have somebody we met at a barbecue. We could have had a lead from social media. We could have driven past a business and say, you know what? That looks like somebody who needs me involved. They need my product.
Yeah.
And what I would really encourage people to be thinking about is what early on you could write down on a piece of paper to guide yourself through that first call. Because I believe that we should set a real target for that first call. And that is, hey, can I come and have a coffee with you? Or, whatever your objective is. But mostly for me, it's about being able to sit down and have a better conversation face-to-face if I can.
Right. So when you're having that first initial phone call or meeting, your objective is to have the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I set that down. I write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Set your intention. Yep.
So a really confident person, a person who likes to fly by the seat of their pants might be thinking, I don't have to write that down.
Yeah.
But for me, writing it down.
For most of us.
I don't get lost. It's there. I've committed to it. Yeah. And then what I'm writing down, Kim, are important questions. So it might be, I'm saying, well, what was your weekend like, Kim? And I knew that through a friend that you've got a few kids, so I might be talking to you about, what you did, and it might be building some rapport there. It could be getting us to know each other through that mutual friend, or talking about that article which made us connect through social media.
Yeah.
Or it could have been research, which I have done, and I encourage everyone to do it. Get on to a website, ask people who know that person, find out why they should stop. They should ignore what's in their diary and start speaking to you.
Terrific, terrific. So a bit of background super sleuthing.
I think it helps. I think
a connection.
Yeah, quieter people speak more, noisier people speak less. So if you've written down 4 or 5 questions and you know that your aim is to get a meeting, or it could be to send an article, whatever that aim is for that first contact, that's how simple it should be. And I believe if we keep the mindset of asking rather than telling,
yeah,
we're engaging. They're not looking down and saying, how do I get this person off the phone? Oh, sorry, what were you saying again, Kim?
Yeah.
And so if we're asking them good questions, we're capturing their attention and they're speaking.
Yeah.
We're starting to find out what ticks a box for them.
Yeah.
What sort of information they want, how they want the relationship to be built. And so it's those quirky needs you start to understand. Are you going to be a good match? Is there trust being developed so that when it comes time to ask for some business or ask for that appointment, which is our first goal, they're going to say, you know what, I reckon that makes sense to me. This is worth that time.
Yeah, that's terrific. I think, and please, I'd love your opinion as well, but I think a lot of us, mere mortals, trying our hat, as the salesperson, think that we need to get the sale in that first phone call.
Yeah. And how well does that go?
Usually not so good, huh?
Why?
Oh, well, my opinion is nobody's ready to buy on that first phone call. My opinion is that's the relationship phone call.
Yeah.
That's the starting to get to know the client.
Yeah.
But from what I understand from most of us, we're so driven for the sale that, that's going on in the back of our mind rather than what you've just said. The intention should be to get to the next appointment. And it takes a lot of pressure off us as well. If we're not actually going after the sale, we're going after the next appointment.
Beautiful. And that's what it should be. It should feel there's less pressure for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Because if I'm trying to chase a sale from you, Kim, chances are you're going to sense that and you're going to run away from me. It's like if I, met somebody, and I've been married for a number of years, a couple of decades now, but if I met someone and I said, do you want to have children with me the first time we met, chances are they're going to think that feels a bit odd.
Yeah.
Strange. What's going on here? I've taken the relationship to a point a little bit far, way too quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that sales is the same. It doesn't have to be weeks and weeks and weeks, but you do have to understand the other person and what they need first before we start trying to present something to a person.
Yeah, that's terrific advice. So if we slow it down a little bit and see the process as a bit longer, probably have a lot more effectiveness.
And I think if there was two things which I would love people to try and consider is at that face-to-face meeting.
Yep.
Again, you prepared 5 good questions.
Yeah.
And had the person you're seeing speaking to you and telling you what issues they're facing. And you could make notes, and I choose to write them down. I tell people that it's really important to me that I capture this information, so I never feel embarrassed about referring to notes. I think it's the difference of how I can present something possibly at the third meeting compared to how I would do it without those notes are chalk and cheese.
You know, it's a terrific point, because I think when, us rookies are in the sales process, we can overtalk because of our nervousness.
Yeah.
However, if we have, a cheat sheet of notes available, like this is part of the process and I want to capture everything, takes us out of that nervousness and we've got something to do. And so then the client can start talking.
Yeah, and one great thing to do is to think about at the end of a meeting, any sales meeting, how much talking you did.
Yep.
I reckon if you're over 50%, you've talked way too much.
Too much, yeah. What's that saying? We have two ears and one mouth. Use them in that order, or that percentage.
Yeah, but what's that classic salesperson do? They start talking, Kim, and just hang on a tick, Kim. I've got to tell you all about this. So I want you just to hang back a bit, because I'm going to tell you all about sales now. And I suddenly start sounding really boring.
Yeah.
You start thinking about, how can I shut Peter up?
Yeah.
What do I have to do after this meeting? That's right. And I have lost all of that connection with you. So for people who overtalk, definitely questions.
Yeah.
People who are naturally more inward with their thinking, questions give them that sense of professionalism and confidence, which might overcome some of those fears we were talking about right at the beginning of this session.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. I think, what I'm getting from this conversation is that, for myself, if I was just to slow down a bit and inquire more and use the tool of writing things down, because that will inevitably slow me down as well, I wouldn't be able to overtalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how often do you feel like you slow down truly during the day? My first business was a pharmacy, and I was working 13 hours a day. I might sit down for 15 minutes for lunch.
Yeah.
I was working really, really hard, and I wasn't very reflective. Yeah. And I'd imagine through this summit, business owners are going to hear at some point you have to stop, reflect, and think, so that you're not in this rush mode. You actually see the big picture.
Yeah.
I start seeing you, Kim, as a person and thinking about you, rather than when we're in this flight and freeze, rushing around the place. I'm thinking of me in the sale. Look, Kim, can I quickly interest you in something here? I would just want you to buy it. And look, does that sound like a good idea? You'll say, not so sure, Peter. Can I get back to you? Because the whole experience wasn't a connection.
Yeah.
It was all about me, and you sensed that, and I didn't really build that relationship, which is, so fruitful when businesses do it.
It's terrific, isn't it? That sense of creating the space. So in your diary, and as you said earlier, putting it in your diary. So there is nothing else to be thinking of or worrying about or rushing off to. You actually adequately put enough time in for the person who you're speaking to.
Yeah, and we use different parts of our brain, and so there is when we're more at peace, we can use our emotions and our logic as well.
Yeah,
and we are really thinking things through.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, hey, are you okay? And I'm checking in on you more.
Yeah,
and even that in itself can be much more rewarding for both people. That empathy and thoughtfulness to you is really important in sales.
It's great. It's really terrific. I can see how using these techniques, the outcome would be better for me and better for anyone I was communicating with.
Yeah.
And so moving from a social media lead, for instance, into the real world, have you got any tips for us there, Peter?
Again, I really believe that it's that research and trying to find, the word hook sounds terrible. So it's like catching someone and then they're helpless. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But it's trying to find something which gains their attention, I believe is really important. And I'd have a strong sense of trying to communicate that with them, or what's in it for me.
Yeah, terrific.
So
And,
that's what they'll tune into. So we've all got that sense of, even people listening to this session today are going to be thinking, well, how can I benefit? The quicker your research uncovers why you being in touch with them is going to give them a better future, the better, I think.
Yeah, it's perfect. Speaking of lead times, do you have a formula, or something that you see as a commonality with? And I know different people on this summit will be selling different products and services, so it could be different across different industries. But do you have anything that you see common as a lead cycle or a sales cycle?
Yeah, look, I think that it's absolutely okay to ask the person when is an appropriate time to get back in touch with them. You know, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And again, that's a question. It's hearing about what they need from you. What's an appropriate way of following up this phone call we've had, or this meeting we've had? I'd be asking the person, because the reality is that every person, it's probably a different time, isn't it?
Right, and at a different point in the buying cycle?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, and then just depending on where you've managed to get them, it just depends on the amount of time. I ask that question because I think, I think a lot of us, when we're making the sales calls or making sales in general, and of course we want our own cash flow to be up there and rocking, we perhaps don't realise that, it still can take a couple of months.
Yeah. And so when we start thinking about our own cash flow, are we bringing that person closer to us, or are we, pushing them further away? And the reality is that you almost got to forget that in that moment and be thinking about what is right for that person.
Yes, it's perfect, because it's so often we're not really in the world of how it is for them. We're after our own sales goals, or profit goals, or however we've set up for that month. Yeah, it's perfect.
And I like to think of, if the big picture of sales is not being afraid to ask a question like that.
Yeah.
And having the courage to actually ask those difficult questions. Hey, does this interest you?
Yeah.
It's okay to ask that type of question as you're going along, because in the end, you're building. If somebody is interested, they know that you're checking in with them. That actually goes as a tick against your name, rather than me continuing to go down a path of talking about something which you might have no need for at all, or an existing relationship which you're never going to break. And so it's okay to ask. It's okay to check in to see if the person is thinking that this is going to be a good match, or they can see the potential of it.
Yeah, terrific. I think probably, I don't know, maybe sometimes we're too afraid to ask those questions in case we get the no.
And what would be the problem with the no?
You know what? Who wants to hear no? I never want to hear no.
But it also could be that you could got more time to make your next call to someone who really does need your service and is in a buying mood. And so by not asking that, you've just really irritated someone who's less likely to use you when they are ready. So, I think it's actually okay to check in and think about the consequences of asking that question. I think they're generally okay to be asked.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Just in relation to the no, because I reckon that's a big one, the no.
Mm-hmm.
What have you got to say about getting a no?
Well, I think that any time somebody starts saying, making noises which you're picking up, that they're trying to push you a little bit further away rather than saying, yeah, I'm really liking this.
Yeah.
I think that we can do what most salespeople do, or we can pause and use all that thoughtfulness, all that thinking of them and empathy towards them to do something differently. And I think that your first thing is to check and say, hey, this is exciting. They're being honest with me.
Yeah.
They're telling me exactly what they're thinking, and acknowledging that, and just say, hey, I really appreciate you telling me. If you get a straight out no, can you tell me a little bit more about that? What was your thoughts?
Yeah.
And a big open question after some good empathy.
Yeah.
We're again encouraging them to talk. And it's amazing. There's 3 outcomes which you see here. And you could try this with any of the people listening. You could try it with your kids.
Yeah.
So try and connect them. Say, hey, I really appreciate you telling me. Thank you. And mean it.
Yeah.
Because if it's, hey, I really appreciate you telling me that, they're not buying into it, because empathy is our feelings. It's the connection. It's me letting you know that I get it.
Yeah.
And you can trust me if I'm thinking that way. And then a big open question, tell me what you're thinking. Let them speak. You see some amazing outcomes. Sometimes the problem...
I don't say that question to anyone except my husband. That's a good one.
So sometimes the problem just disappears. All they were feeling was I was pushing them along too quick, or you could have been. And they just wanted some time to talk it through. And this is what I was thinking, and Kim, and, but really it will be all right. And we've heard people say that to us, and you think, oh, wow, that was a no before, but something magic just happened. They just needed time to think it through. The next one is sometimes they come up with a solution, and they say, well, you know what we could do? We could do this. And you go, wow, that's important. So that no was, hey, I don't agree with what you're telling me, but I like a lot of it, and here's the solution. But we sometimes go, hear the no, and we get all, oh, that's okay, then don't worry about it. We get very, very worried, and we want to get off the phone because our confidence is shattered. But if we can stay in this moment, empathy first, and ask a good question, they are feeling, we got to remember when they're saying no, they're feeling a little bit uptight too. And so if we manage it, let them talk, and they're relaxed, it might be in 5, 10, 15 minutes, we can provide a solution. But too many salespeople do something else. They either give up when they hear no, oh, that's okay, or they start talking. Well, this is why you need it, and it will do this, 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 and this, and they start an argument, and everyone gets more frustrated.
Yeah.
And the problem escalates. The trust is diminished. So, again, really that confidence to pause, to step back and say, hey, this is going to be all right.
Yeah.
I really understand this person and what they're thinking. You never know what's going to happen in the future. It will be all right.
Such great tips, to be honest with you, Peter. Like, just me sitting in this chair, I actually feel a level of relaxation to go into the next phone call. A level of ownership that, just stay in my peace and let it flow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Over the years, given who you are, you would have read a number of books, Peter. What do you reckon's the, top one on your list?
I have struggled to read a book on sales which has delivered something which I can think of off the top of my head. So, Kim, I can't give you any tip, because I feel like most of our sales books and literature comes from that American I'm just going to beat anyone into submission and buy my stuff type attitude. And if I've got the fancy objection handling techniques, and if I'm swish enough at the beginning, you can conquer the world. And to me, that short-term gains, maybe, I'm not so sure,
yeah,
a lot of embarrassment, frustration for the salesperson. And
so cool. You should write a book then, Peter.
yeah, look, is having to spell important? I'm not so sure.
There's editors for that. You'll be fine.
I think I would encourage people just to be talking to people by asking and listening.
Oh, that's perfect.
Will take care of itself. Now we can develop a sales process, which means that you don't have to think about all these things, and you're only in the moment and you're working through it. And we can help people close and help people present ideas, but largely listening by asking good questions, I think is the place where most small business people or people in medium to large size businesses as well should be concentrating on. Make the connections real.
It's brilliant. I also ask my experts at the end as well, who's your guru? Who's your mentor?
Yeah. I have a few, and they're lucky. I'm lucky that with the ability to communicate like you and I are today, that Sue McNamara, who's based in Singapore, working for an organisation called 6 Seconds, is somebody who I truly admire, and she's really helped me develop emotional intelligence skills, which I think are vital for sales. So the ability to understand others and how you're feeling yourself.
Yes.
So make that phone call. You can help think through that everything's going to be okay, but also stay motivated and stay focused, because it's easy after a couple of phone calls to give up and say, well, I'm just no good at it. So I believe a lot of that is in here.
Yeah.
And so she has been a treasure for me to develop those skills which run alongside some of the techniques we've talked about today.
Terrific. Well, we can all look her up.
Yeah.
Peter, the training guru, I thank you so much for everything that you've imparted today. I know for me personally, I will be looking at my sales calls, which we all do, in a very different light. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Now, as all the viewers know, they can get in contact with you at the bottom of the page. So get down there and have a look for Peter. And I look forward to presenting to you again tomorrow on Make Your Good Business Great. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.